Hello everyone, welcome back to another video, and today we're going to be talking about how I built this here model airport of mine. I made a video about this before back in February of 2018, so about 2.5 years ago when I first built this model airport, and it was basically an overview of how I built it and the construction process. But today is going to be a more detailed version of that because ever since then, a lot of you guys who have watched my videos have commented a lot of different questions about how I built the airport and specific things. Like for example, a lot of people have asked, if you look at these terminals here, you can see that there's a glass design on them. Obviously they're not glass, they're paper. But how I found that design and how I put them on the terminals. And a lot of you guys just ask how I built the terminals and so many different questions. And a lot of times I just comment or respond. Sometimes I don't because they're paragraph responses. They have to be explained in a video. So that's what this is here for. I probably should have made this video a long time ago, but here we are 2.5 years later, 2020 version of how I built my model airport, more in-depth version of course. So today is November 26, 2020. It's actually Thanksgiving, so happy Thanksgiving to everyone. I think people only celebrate in the US. I'll have to look that up. So I'm basically going to go through so many different areas as far as this airport goes, from the tables to building the terminals to the tarmac, the taxiways, this grass right here, I don't know if you can see, just completely everything. And there's even a cargo terminal over there. So we're going to get into that. Also, I guess I should mention I'm currently in quarantine right now, so that's why my hair is out of control, and for obvious reasons I can't get a haircut even though I do badly need one. But anyways, there's nothing else to mention right here, so let's just get started with the video. So the first thing I want to do here is give a basic overview of what the airport looks like for those of you who haven't already seen it in my airport updates. So this is the airport here. It's composed of 4 different terminals, a cargo terminal, and 2 parallel runways. One is longer than the other and actually goes off the table. Some of it doesn't exist. So I guess I haven't even said the name of the airport yet. This is the fictional Pittsburgh International Airport. It could obviously be any airport for that reason because the real Pittsburgh International Airport does not look like this. But this airport acts as a fictional American Airlines hub. So that's why you'll see a lot of American Airlines models in the airport updates and in this video too. But this airport has 43 gates, 12 of those are international gates, 16 of those are for domestic airlines other than American Airlines, and 15 of those are for American Airlines gates. So this right here is a list of the things I'm going to be talking about in this video in order. So if you want to jump to a specific part, you can do that right here. The times will be listed. So the first thing we're going to be going over is the tables that this airport is on. So as you can see, this is the airport from a super wide view far away, and by looking at it you can see that there's this larger table right here that's the main table of the airport. And then if we go down here, there's this other separate black, also wooden table that also holds up the airport, this section, and it's obviously smaller. And these 2 tables aren't physically connected at all. They're just set right next to each other, and then the airport was built on top of it. But these are pretty much the large tables that hold the airport, and I'll go through the dimensions and everything. So I didn't quite remember the exact dimensions of the airport table, and I thought I wrote it down, but I couldn't find it. So I just went ahead and measured it on my phone. So it's probably not 100% accurate, so I'm just going to be rounding up. But as you can see, the width of the airport is about 8 feet. And then when you take the length of that main table, it's also about 8 feet. And if you add that to the width of the smaller black table, which is about 4 feet, you get a total of 11 feet of length, and then obviously the 8 feet of width. So it's a pretty big table, as you can see, and it can clearly fit a lot. And that's not necessarily required for when you're building any model airport. I just decided I wanted to build something huge. So this table right here I've had for the longest time. It actually used to have a train set on it, like electric Lionel trains when I was a little kid. And I'd always use that right there is like a painted waterfall. But then I used it for my old model airport, which was from about 2014 to 2017. What is going on, guys? Justin here, and today there were a couple versions of it. I remade it, but it was used on this main table right here until I tore that airport down in 2017 and then combined it with that black table, which I don't even know where I got that. someone gave to me or something. And obviously I use that table combined with this table to create the new huge airport. So you're probably wondering, hey Justin, how are you getting these tables? So this table right here was literally built from scratch. I believe my dad and I built it. And as you can see, it's a pretty big, complex table. There is these little shelves down here which were added on later, but everything here that's on the table was built from scratch, just a bunch of 2x4s that were just put together. So even go underneath the table, it's a mess under here, just storage. But over there actually used to be a wide open hole. I don't know if I can pull up any video footage because when I was had like model trains, I would like stand in the middle of that hole and then all the trains would like circle around here, but I have no idea if I have video footage of that. That was like 2013. And then here's the shelf. It's also a mess, but I have all the models and stuff. So and then this is just underneath, this is the wooden table, the black one. So yeah, like this was all built, and then this, I don't know where I got this from. I think someone just gave it to me, like I said. So I don't know, it just depends on what, so like those of you that are watching, like wondering where you can get tables like this, it just depends whether like you're ambitious enough or have a dad that can help you build a huge table, or I don't know. So the next thing I want to talk about is the taxiways and the runways and just the overall tarmac. So as you can see, this is not painted, but it's actually just paper. So if we go down here, I think I have some extra like foil. So here we go. So right here, this is just like leftover sheets, but as you can see, it's clearly the same as the tarmac taxiway there. But this is not sponsored at all, but because I always get asked where you can find these. And this right here, you can find it at airportdioramadesigns.com. And if you go on their website, there's basically, you can buy like a bunch of PDFs in one pack. I think it was like $25 of different, all the runway designs and taxiways and gate designs. And you can basically print them out. So that's what I did. I would just print out a whole bunch, go around and cut them, whether they were like taxi lines or runway designs. Like this actually was going to be like the full list of the runway, and it doesn't even go past this table. So like this smaller runway, I had to actually take pieces out of the entire runway section of that PDF file they gave you. So there's clearly a lot that's in the package that you buy. And then so anyways, like I was saying, you print it out and then just cut it, and then you literally just glue it down. I bought a whole bunch of glue sticks, and for hours I would basically just go with glue sticks, cut, and just glue it all down, and that's just what it took. It's not hard at all, but it's really time consuming, but I found it, in my opinion, really fun. So I would just pretty much get out all my stuff, like equipment, and I would set up like my phone. I used to play Casey Neistat videos and just glue stuff down for hours. In my opinion, it was so fun. And you're probably wondering, how do I know what to put down, like what taxiways and things? And that's why I pre-draw everything out. So rather than just printing a whole bunch of taxiway designs and going as you build, and then that obviously can lead to mistakes, or you might not like something, and it's probably too late because you could have it glued down. So that's why this is a good idea to sketch things. And a lot of times in school, in my notebook when I was bored, I would just go and sketch down how I want the taxiways to look like, and over months it just accumulates and you all put it together into one big design. So as you can see, this is the runway design down here. So there's the two runways here, and then these are the taxiways, the lines as you can see, and then the taxiways leading into the runway. And in between, you want to, it's kind of hard to see, but you want to like write where the grass is going to be. It's not really labeled or anything. So yeah, you have all the taxiway lines, and then this isn't really detailed as much up here, but these are the terminals, and it's pretty hard to see. This is actually an old design, because clearly the airport does not look like that right now, but you basically just write the lines, and then, not that paper, there's another one here. So these are just like sketch of the gates, and then this would be like little roads for the service vehicles. So it's very important to sketch all that down and design everything so you know what you're going to build going into it. Okay, so now we're going to get into how I built the terminals, and there are, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, well, I guess 4 terminals that were built, but then you got the cargo terminal. Anyways, we're gonna basically go through how they were built, and we're gonna start over here with these terminals. So this technically right here is not a terminal, it's just this building right here, but they're two separate, so we're just gonna talk about this one right now. But this right here is the Landside Terminal, so it replicates Heathrow Terminal 5. You probably noticed that, honestly, because as you can see, the curved roof looks very similar to Heathrow, and it does not have any gates, as you can see. I might add this in the future, actually. That could possibly be a video. But basically, this is where like passengers would arrive and they would check in, go through security, and then there could basically be an underground train, and then in this case there'd be a bridge to get to this terminal, but underground train to get to all of the other terminals of the airport. This is obviously by far the largest building in my airport, and you can't even put it into perspective because this is just on camera, but this is just a massive building. So if you look inside here, we can see that there are just a whole bunch of wood pieces in here, and there are 4 different thick wood pieces that are curved at the top of each one for the curvature of the roof, and those were of course just traced out. So we got thick pieces of wood, and they were cut with a handsaw, I believe, and the way we traced them was we just put the curved wood over top of it and then traced it underneath what the exact curvature would be, and then of course cut it out. So those were glued to this piece of balsa wood here that is obviously bent as the roof, and then for this side it is met by a thinner piece of balsa wood that are glued to the sides of these thicker pieces, and this is basically all glued. As you can see, it's kind of yellow there if it'll focus, by a wood glue. It's not just any type of glue. It's not hot glue, it's not Elmer's or Gorilla Glue for that matter, just basic wood glue. So the top of the building, I'll set it down, was painted gray of course, and then I hot glued these metal strips down to just add some texture to the design, make it look kind of cool. So as far as these building prints go, as you can see they're on the side, these building prints are on most of the terminals. This terminal right here has a different design of glass, but there it's on the international terminal, and it's on this one as well, like I said. I'm going to talk about that now because a lot of you guys have asked, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, where I'm getting this from and how I put it on. So basically, I literally searched up on Google. I'm not sure the exact search, but it was pretty much just glass designs or airport glass designs. So let's say a picture like this popped up, then I pretty much put it on a Google Doc, made it the size I want, and probably just cut out a whole bunch on paper so that I can just cut around it, and I printed this on glossy paper. Now that's very important because if you were to just get regular normal paper and glue it on the side of these terminal buildings, the texture wouldn't be very good, and also it would just be very not professional, I guess, and if any water got on it, it would easily obviously destroy it and not look good at all. That's why it's tough when water gets on these taxiways. It's actually happened a couple times. You have to pretty much redo it or it doesn't look very good because it's paper, of course. So what you do is you obviously print that and then you cut it out to whatever you'd like, and then obviously, as you can see, this isn't straight one piece of paper here. This is just glued in sections, you can see. So yeah, they're just glued down. Like that could easily be glued down a little bit more, but that's okay. So that goes on all sides of the terminals, and well, ignore that bad paint job underneath there. But as you can see here, this is a bridge I wanted to add to this terminal here, which I'll talk about in a minute. But as you can see, I just put on the building design and then painted it gray. So yeah, that's the inside and underneath of this terminal. Take a little bit closer look. Just go all around if you're interested. And I'll actually insert some clips right here of what the building looked like before it was built. So this right here is Terminal A, which is the domestic airlines terminal. It has Delta Airlines, United, JetBlue, Alaska, and Air Canada as well, which technically isn't domestic.
So sue me.
You caught me.
No, don't sue me. That's the opposite of the point that I'm trying to.
So it's hard to tell, but this is actually a curved roof. I'll go on the other side. So as you can see there, it's not this incredible design, but there is a little bit of curve if it will focus. There is a little bit of curve in the roof design. So this building isn't too complicated. It used to be just one of the old terminals on my old airport, and it's basically just this big block of wood. And I just took those building prints I just talked about, glued them on the side, and then took pieces of balsa wood, and then just, if it will focus, what is going on? So anyways, took that balsa wood, and I don't know if you can see, but I just nailed it down on the sides over there, and then it created that curve. It's very important to get balsa wood that's very thin and it can curve easily, because if you get thick wood, obviously it will not curve, and you have to get the right type of balsa wood. I did not get any of my wood anywhere, by the way. I pretty much just had it out in the, well, I didn't have it, my dad actually had it, just out in his garage, and this was all just scrap wood. This entire airport was made of scrap wood. I guess I should have said that earlier. So I did not buy a single piece of wood. This was all just stuff that I had, or we had. I mean, obviously you might want to go out and buy balsa wood if you don't have any. It's probably going to be necessary if you want to add more realistic designs to like curved roofs and stuff like that, but I'm sure it's not that expensive. So because this building isn't super wide, that's why there isn't a huge gap or a big curve, because when you nail it down the sides, it's not going to be this huge thing. But if you look at the Landside Terminal in the back there, you can see that because it's much wider, you can obviously have that bigger curve. And of course that curve was achieved through those thick wooden pieces in the middle that basically had the structural support for that curve. So here's just a view on this side of the terminal. Nothing really special, just like the front side. And as you can see back there, I did not add any like roadways or anything to that Landside Terminal, but it's kind of hard to see, but there are still the glass designs on the side of the terminal. So it's still there. So next up here is the American Airlines terminal, which has the domestic routes for American Airlines. This terminal, as you can see, is just a long, straight rectangular terminal, but then there's also this kind of random piece here, and that acts as like that air train, like underneath all the airport that I said. This is kind of like where you could get off of the train, and also like where food might be. So kind of like that centerpiece of the terminal. And as you can see down there, there's actually like a little commuter section. So how this terminal was built is, I think, kind of like the Landside Terminal, where there are basically kind of like wooden brackets that are holding the terminal up for support underneath. But let's actually uncover this, because I figured I built this 2.5 years ago. I don't exactly remember. So let's flip this upside down. Okay, so as you can see, I think, yeah, I was right, because see how there's these, oh, well, you can't even see, these little pieces. No, there's not a whole lot of them that are basically holding up the roof, and a lot of this looks hot glued to me. Huh, that's different. So this is a very fragile terminal, so I'm going to set it back down, but there should be some clips I have of when I was building this. This is all a mess now. This is all over the place. But if you look at this terminal, I don't know if you can tell, but the roof is actually slanted. Here, I'll go over on that side. So this roof here, now you can tell, is slanted. And so I don't really need to explain much as far as what's underneath it, because you saw pretty much those wooden brackets that are glued together to hold up this roof. And then this is also balsa wood on the side, because you can tell how thin it is, that are glued to all the sides of those brackets. So pretty much that's the main support system inside of the terminal. So I'm not sure if I have any footage of building this. Now this isn't perfect, because you can see there's an opening right there, but pretty much I took all pieces of balsa wood, 3 pieces right there. I glued them to an inside bracket piece that must be of some sort, because you can see there's a little bit of thickness right there, and then slapped a gray painted piece of balsa wood on top for the roof, and then glued that separate piece to the side of this terminal. And then obviously with the building prints, like I explained earlier, just this is obviously, I probably Googled a different picture or found a different picture, put it in a Google Doc, printed it on glossy paper, and then hot glued it to the side of the building. Now I don't know why on the inside most of the glue was hot glue, so maybe, I don't know if I ran out of the wood glue, but it seems to be working. I mean, so I guess it doesn't really matter what kind of glue, because hot glue is also really strong. So down this commuter terminal over here, this is pretty basic. As you can see, just got a little small piece of wood, painted the top and put the building prints on the side, and literally just glued it to the side of this terminal. Pretty simple. Now as far as these little gate things right here, they're different on both sides. So basically what I did was I took 2 wooden block pieces. This piece right here, which is very similar to the bridge that was over there, glued it to a larger block piece, painted all of this gray, by the way, and then glued on certain sides, as you can see, not all sides, the little glass design. And I should have mentioned it over there, but to screw in, I don't know if you guys know this or not, but obviously to screw in the air bridge, you pretty much just, at least what I do, is I get a drill and literally just screw a hole into the side of this wood, and that's what I did over there. And on this side, it's pretty self-explanatory, same thing as the other. I just get small block pieces of wood, paint them, and put the building print on the side. This obviously is more simple than the other side. So by looking at underneath, it wasn't very perfect. It was kind of all over the place, and by picking it up, it was kind of fragile, not as sturdy as that huge piece, of course, because the wood brackets weren't super thick, and there are only like 2 or 3 of them, but it works. I mean, the terminal looks pretty good in my opinion. So next up is the international terminal, and this terminal has 2 sides of it, and it's joined together by like a middle section, a large section that's very similar to the Landside Terminal. So I'm going to start by explaining this middle building first, because it's not built the same way as these 2 extensions with the gates. So as you can see, like I said earlier, there is a very similar concept to the Landside Terminal, which is similar to Heathrow Terminal 5. As you can see, the curved roof, which is balsa wood that's nailed down. But this building is not hollow on the inside. So instead of it being all open with the different wooden structural supports, those wooden structural supports that are on the Landside Terminal are pretty much all glued together to make it really thick. So it's all one big piece that's not open at all. And when you do this, it's a lot easier to nail down the balsa wood curved roof, because you can nail it anywhere, versus the Landside Terminal, you had to nail it down exactly where there is the wooden structural support. So this way it's also a lot stronger. I mean, there's no real force acting against it, so it doesn't really have to be strong. As you can see in the last terminal, it was kind of, honestly, it was kind of like very flimsy. The wood was really thin because there was no thick wooden parts of the terminal. But I mean, hey, it works. It's nothing special at all. But for here, then obviously I take the building prints and glue it onto the side. Nothing really super special. So now to these 2 different concourses of the terminal. So they're pretty much built the same way as the Landside Terminal. Like we said earlier, there's those wooden support structures. If I counted how many times I said wooden support structures, we could buy a whole new airport probably. But anyways, as far as these 2 sides go, so pretty much what there is those wooden pieces on the inside, and this building is built a little bit, well, both of these buildings, not necessarily this just building, but these 2 buildings are built a little bit different, because as you can see, if you look down here, it's a little bit thicker piece of wood, so it's not just regular balsa wood, but there are those wooden pieces, and then they're obviously cut at the top in the shape of this curve so that the top balsa wood can be nailed down. And if we look on top, you can see they're both screws, like right there, and there's also nails here and there and down there to put the building, or the roof, I guess I should say, in place, and to secure the roof down to the building. And you can see that they're in different sections, and that is because obviously of those wooden pieces inside, because this building right here and that one over there, I guess, are hollow inside. So they're unlike this middle section. They're just like Terminal 2 and the Landside Terminal, where there's pretty much those wood sections, and then that's where the roof is nailed down to, or in this case screwed and nailed. The screws must be for to secure it more, because this is obviously a bigger curve, so it's going to need a lot more to hold it down. But I think this is pretty cool. You have the different indents here, so it looks more realistic, like a real terminal. And even these screws and nails, I think it looks pretty cool as far as the design. Now, as far as I attach it to the terminal, literally just set it right next to it. I just messed up like all my models, but nothing special. Literally just set it right there. And then if you look underneath this, there's no tarmac or terminal, or not terminal, taxiway, or no gate. So now I screwed up this whole thing. But so for this gate situation, it's just like the one in the last terminal, where they're just wood blocks that, where this one glued on the glass terminal design on the side, and then in this case I actually printed the American Airlines logo, since this is the American Airlines gate, and obviously glued it to the sides. And then these 2 pieces, of course, are hot glued together and then hot glued to the side of the building. That's a nice little feature, because you can have the roadways underneath it. And I didn't show you earlier when I was talking about the tarmac and the taxiways, but I did design and sketch all of the gates and all of the roadways that go around the gates. I just couldn't find the exact blueprint for that. So when I was talking earlier about screwing in the gates, as you can see, there's that little hole right there. Then here we go. Here's a little part of the air bridge that goes right in there. And then this attaches here, just a normal air bridge. And then there you go. That's your gate. So it goes right in there. Very simple. So next here, I don't think I've shown, is the cargo terminal. So this is the little airport, and that's the cargo terminal right there. So I built this all from wood underneath, but there's a whole video that I made about how exactly I built this. So that'll be in the description, also in a card above, and also put at the end screen in this video if you're watching at the end. The foils for this and the outside design actually came from the same website where you get all of these taxiways from. It's just one of the things you can buy. I don't remember how much it was, but they pretty much just give you all the designs for the sides and the outside. I actually have some over here. Let's see, it's somewhere. Here we go. So this is the design they give you. Now this is on glossy paper, and that's important. Same reason for the building designs, because if you print with regular paper, it's not going to be very professional, I guess, on the side. But I like this terminal. It's very nice. And this actually, so underneath it is outline for where the building should be, and that came with all of these taxiways that you also buy. So if you want to find out exactly and more specifically how I built this and the whole process, there's a separate video on that, so check out that if you're interested. Now this is Terminal E, or I guess Terminal 4, where this has other domestic airlines, so it has Southwest, Frontier, and hopefully I'm looking to get some Spirit Airlines, so that could go here. So this is just the classic Gemini Jets terminal, not the huge one obviously, this only has a couple gates, but I've had this for a while. It's been in my old airports. So pretty much you can just buy this either on Amazon or on Gemini Jets, a couple $100, maybe like 100 or 200, I don't remember, I got it for Christmas. But it's a nice little addition to the side of the airport, so I obviously didn't build this, nothing too special in regards to that terminal. So I just realized I forgot to mention and explain how I added this realistic grass in here, because when this airport was built, it was just the basic grass like PDF that came with it. It was literally just green piece of paper that was supposed to represent grass, and then obviously I covered it with this now, but I actually made two separate videos on how I did this, so I'll link those in the description as well as the top right corner. But basically what I did, so pretty much, also I changed shirts by the way, pretty much this is a big roll of grass, and basically I just went through, cut the shape that it needed to be on the airport, because obviously there's different sections like here, and then just glued it down. Pretty simple, that's all I did. I think my uncle gave this to me or something, but you could probably buy this like realistic grass on anywhere, probably online or even in a store somewhere. So that's it. That is how this airport was made. I didn't mention that it actually took 10 months to build this whole airport. Well, I guess not build, but from the initial idea until completion. I first came up with the idea and took down my old airport in April of 2017, and then I finished it in February 2018. Construction actually started, I think, June of 2017. So yeah, it took a while, almost a year, but it was definitely worth it. So as you can see here, I wrote down 2017, 2018. Also, if you guys have any questions on anything I didn't go over in this airport update or skipped or just anything at all, feel free to comment down below and I'll probably get back to you with an answer rather than make an entire new video. So yeah, if there's just any questions or anything, feel free to comment down below. I'll make sure to get back to you guys. So I think that's it for this video of going over how I built this airport. If you guys are interested, you can go back into the old parts of my channel where there's the old airport. I'll actually link a couple videos down below. They're kind of uninteresting. They're just, I don't know, regular airport updates. They're okay. I mean, I usually don't go back and watch them. But if you want to see the progression of my old airport leading into this airport, go ahead and scroll back, and I encourage you to watch those views. And hopefully this inspires you guys to make an airport of your own and to make YouTube videos of your own. It's definitely a fun experience. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.